Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Alicia Dunams, author of I Get To. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Are you ready to get started?
I am ready.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Is to get it done and have an accountability partner. So having an accountability partner, whether that is a coach, whether that is someone who is writing their own book as well, having accountability gives you the opportunity to put some skin in the game. And so it could look like different things. As I mentioned, a coach, it could look like another author that's writing their book. It can also look like making a post on Instagram or social media saying that you're writing a book and you're launching it by this date. So you have other people who you're really putting your integrity on the line, and you have other people expecting you to finish your book and rooting you on from the sidelines. So definitely accountability.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
The hardest part about getting published, I would say, is finishing the book. What I see, you and I spoke before, I help people write books as well, part of my business. And so for doing it for 12 years, one thing that I see that happens is, people, put it on the calendar. They have all the best intentions in the world to get their book done. And whether they attend a weekend workshop and write it the weekend, or even have it physically done on their computer, is sometimes there's feelings of doubt that they're not good enough, that it's not good enough. And I had that personally happen. One of my clients finished her book in 2014. She attended my workshop. She finished her book, and she didn't launch it until 2018 because she felt like she was an imposter. She felt she wasn't good enough. And so it's really mindset that is important in terms of getting your book done, is overcoming those feelings of inadequacy or what have you, and just get it done. Because once you have it done, once you have your book done, then you've done it. And then you can write the next one and the next one, which we talked about before, Paul, is once it's done, then it becomes like riding a bike.
Absolutely. I think also the biggest challenges authors have out there is dealing with that imposter syndrome and having those challenges. And one thing I tell my clients as well is done is better than perfect. Just get it done, because when you're doing your second, your third, or even your 14th book, it's just like riding a bike. It's just going through that process.
Yes, and I've heard it been said that my crappy book is better than the book that you haven't done.
Yeah.
So getting it done, and just from my book, I Get To, How Using the Right Words Can Radically Transform Your Life, Relationships, and Business. I wrote that book really as not only to share some of the mindset principles that support me and leadership mindset principles, but what it has been, amazing effect of writing a book has been corporate speaking and facilitation. So it's created a whole additional revenue stream for me. So when you see that those type of things are available, that TV, speaking opportunities, facilitation, podcasts like we're doing here, when you see that that's available, you're like, wow, this is going to open a whole new revenue stream for my business, opportunities for exposure, opportunities to promote my existing business.
Well, and this translates really nicely into our next question. That, of course, is marketing, which clearly by doing all these events are definitely going to help with the marketing side of it. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that worked well.
Marketing strategy that I have used, and this is, I would say, a marketing and monetization strategy. And so it's around bulk book purchases. And what I have created, as I mentioned before, is I'm using my book in terms of corporate and to build the corporate side of my business. And one of the reasons I'm expanding into corporate, because I believe in recession proofing your business. And one thing about corporate is they have deep pockets. I will say deeper pockets than entrepreneurs. And so one thing I've done is I've created basically a kind of lunch and learn series where corporations can buy my book in bulk, and I come and speak for quote unquote free. So they buy my book in bulk and then I come and speak for free. And what that does is that gives them an opportunity to have a little pink spoonful, if you will, if we are Baskin Robbins, pink spoonful experience of me as a facilitator, as a trainer. And then through that 1 hour experience, I'm able to share with them my half day and full day leadership trainings, emotional intelligence trainings, et cetera, that are available, communications trainings as well. And so I feel, yes, you can make your book a bestseller on Amazon. Yes, you can, do a book tour, which I've done. I, traveled around the country doing a book tour, virtual book tours. Yes, you can do podcasts and TV. And you want to do that. Plus, how are you going to monetize your book launch? And I think one of the best ways to do it is what I just explained, is putting your book out in bulk, having corporations purchase your book in bulk, and then you are kind of come in as an added bonus, and you're now meeting new people, meeting decision makers in these particular Fortune 500 companies.
And what is your strategy to be able to get your foot in the door with those? Are you connecting with them on LinkedIn or calling them? What is your strategy to be able to get their attention to offer them this opportunity?
Absolutely. Book marketing is all about relationship building. Hey, heck, that's life is relationship building. That's business is relationship building. So some of the strategies that I'm doing in terms of meeting these decision makers at corporate is networking, is connecting via LinkedIn. For example, I have mentors. I've had several mentors who've introduced me to. So for example, this is a great tip for your listeners is, there's some of my mentors, they wouldn't take the jobs that I might take because they're maybe at a higher level, for example. And instead of going in and facilitating an EQ workshop at a corporate company, they're doing, high-end executive coaching with the CEO of the company, or they're speaking at a huge level. They're making, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a day. And there's a sweet spot in there that I can kind of jump in where they would no longer do it, but they can say, hey, I can't do it, but my mentee can do this. Because they would say no to the job, but they can pass it along to you. So that's a really important tip, is to have mentors that have kind of surpassed what you are aiming to get to, and they can refer you to something that they would potentially say no to. So other ways is going into, you go into an organization and you ask for referrals, other decision makers. I have a lot of friends that work at corporate, and they might not be the C-suite level. They might be a senior vice president, et cetera. There's a lot of organizations within an organization, like, Women in Business or the Women's Collective at a certain corporation, or Minority Collective at a certain organization, or XYZ at a certain association. So you can kind of get in that way where they have, they're looking for speakers on that type of front. So it's being creative, it's building relationships, and it's being ready. And I would say having it done, having the book done, having your one sheet complete with your bio, with your endorsements, with what your workshop, with the deliverables of your workshop. And then when you do the first workshop, have a list of the next workshops that you're able to. This happened to me the other day. I did my 1 hour lunch and learn for a community college in Southern California, and they said, we want you to do more workshops, and I had it ready to go, the list of workshops that I do. So be ready. So now, obviously, this is specific for the kind of nonfiction, leadership, professional development type of trainer. If you're doing other things, maybe your book is more self-help, or maybe you have a dating book, or maybe you have, whatever, you get to kind of look at your landscape and how you can do these bulk book sales to get into different organizations. You can do it with Meetup. That's what I used to tell my clients, the Meetup groups in whether it's where you live in Dallas or Los Angeles or San Francisco or New York City or Atlanta, there's thousands of Meetup groups, and they're looking for speakers. And a couple things that you can do there is reach out to them, say, hey, I'll buy your audience pizza. So for maybe a couple $100, you get pizza for the group. You come in, you speak, and then you say, part of it, I want to do sales at the end where people purchase my book. There's organizations, so many different types of organizations, parallel organizations. So I'm a woman. I'm obviously a businesswoman. So like the NABAL, National Association of Women Business Owners, would be something that I would reach out to. There's National Speakers Association. So just keep on being part of community and looking for opportunities for you to speak and sell your book, and preferably sell your book in bulk.
I think there's literally smoke coming off of my pen right now. I just took so many notes in regards to your answer. That was absolutely phenomenal and such great advice, and making your business recession proof, because that's one of the things that we're doing now too, is we're going after more of the corporate business to protect yourself, because if the market does go down, then obviously that can definitely make an impact on your business. So going after that corporate business and using the strategies that you mentioned are just absolutely brilliant.
Well, let me tell you this, Paul. I've been in my business for 12 years helping people write books. And 12 years ago, it was flush. Like it was pretty easy for me to get private clients. Then kind of brushing up to 2008, I could feel entrepreneurs closing their coin purses. I could actually feel it. And, I'm feeling the same way right now. I'm feeling like business is a little tougher than it was a couple years ago. And so even though everyone says the economy is really good, I always look when entrepreneurs start closing their coin purses that that we might be close to a recession. And so I'm kind of feeling that way now. The recent clients I've brought on have been, I just brought on a client who he's a multimillionaire. And so for my higher end packages, I'm bringing clients on, but for my kind of middle of the road entrepreneur, small business owner, they are definitely not as quick to make a decision in terms of moving forward. And I feel it is an indication of where the economy is going. And we see it in several ways, like housing prices going down and the homeless. I live in California. The homeless rate is astronomical. And so those are the type of things. So I was kind of feeling, it's like very intuitive. And I said, okay, I get to go corporate. I wrote my book specifically. Well, there's a couple of reasons I wrote my book is because I feel the principles are so supportive in terms of mindset shifting and the power of reframe. And so I wanted to get that out to the world. And I found it was a nice segue into a corporate setting, which my business was 100% entrepreneurs prior to April of 2018. Prior to this year, in the last 5 or 6 months, I have brought on corporate clients and speaking and facilitating. And one of the reasons is because I wrote a book. So it feels nice now. And as a kind of business tip for you and your listeners is now that I'm going into the corporate, there's going to always be CEOs and the C-suite. I mean, look at Sheryl Sandberg writing books as a way to build their personal brand. The whole intrapreneurship is on fire, where corporations want their C-suite level, their senior managers to have their own brand as well. Because when they invest in their employees, when they invest in their leadership team, their business goes up in value. I mean, look at Facebook. Sheryl Sandberg has only brought great PR to Facebook and speaking about women in business and all the various things. And also she has a book on loss as well when she lost her husband. And so she's only building her equity, I would say, as an intrapreneur inside a Fortune 100 company. And so as I speak on leadership principles, et cetera, inside in my book, Communication Skills Inside of Corporations, I will be meeting, and I have been meeting the C-suite and the senior levels who are like, oh, I want to write a book too. And so it's been a nice segue into my business.
Excellent. As I mentioned, I hope people listen to this episode several times because of all the great nuggets that you have given us, because I feel the same way with my company too. It's shifting more to the corporate end because, as you mentioned, the main thing out of that is it makes your business recession proof.
Yes. And that's something that everyone gets to look at is you want to continuously be building your brand. You want to continuously be investing in yourself, and you get to be agile. You get to, like, when everyone's zigging, you get to zag. I mean, that's the one thing I saw. I've been in the authorship place helping people write books for 12 years. I started off very much heavy in the internet marketing space. And when I saw a glut of online trainings come in to play, probably about 3 to 4 years ago, I started shifting my business into doing in-person events, because I was, 5 years ago, I was doing my Bestselling Author Weekend program 100% online. And then I said, wow, there's just a huge, swing to everyone coming online. So when everyone's zigging, I zagged. So I went back into doing in-person events. And then I shifted my business again, where I have people hire me to come and do my Bestselling Author Weekend program for their university organization. And now I'm shifting again in terms of corporate. And so constantly, and then, there's obviously live in a global marketplace. I've done my Bestselling Author Weekend in Europe, and I'm in the works of doing it in Amsterdam here pretty soon. So again, when people are zigging, get ready to zag, and always be looking, how can I tweak what I have, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but how can I tweak what I have to be applicable to more people, to kind of shift in this direction. I've turned the book writing process into, a transformational course. So how can storytelling be beneficial to groups and to teams? And so, so it's been a blast. I am forever on my tippy toes. I'll say that.
Well, and I like your approach to having those live events and what I call old school networking, actually getting out there and not just relying on the internet to bring in that business, because that's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned is you have to diversify as much as possible. That's why we have our webinar, but we have the podcast to give great value to that. And we also do live events every month. And that's one of the biggest things, is making that connection. And also locally here at the Chamber of Commerce, with my Rotary Club, and with a couple of other organizations, it's just building those relationships and doing it on all levels. Because I think that's the biggest thing that most businesses need to realize, that it can't just be one channel. You have to have multiple channels to be able to really take advantage of the opportunities that are out there.
Agreed. The multimillionaire I just brought on as a client is not on social media at all. He's 80 years old. He's not on social media. And he found me through a referral. And so you get to, and again, it's like, who is your target audience? So I play in all the different world. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. I have a very healthy email list that I send out to on a weekly basis. I do webinars, I do Facebook Lives, and I also get out of my house and go to networking events to connect with people. And continue to, I get referrals from people that I met 10 years ago, or I met in a different capacity. So just always be open, provided value. But again, I love that you're in the Rotary clubs, et cetera. That's what I'm going to be doing more of, since I've been so heavily online, and is joining groups where it's a monthly commitment. So that's a new stretch for me. So I'm going to be joining NABAO, National Association of Women Business Owners. I'm going to be joining some of these that are monthly commitments, because that's something that I've been a little bit more like a butterfly. And now that I'm settled in Los Angeles, that's something I'm excited about, looking forward to do.
Yeah, my next step is going to be National Speaker Association. They've been recruiting me pretty hard the last few months. I definitely feel that's a great opportunity. And as you mentioned, it's that skin in the game for making that 1 month commitment.
Yes, I love that. That will be a great fit for you. That's something I get to do as well. I know several people in the National Speakers Association. They're like, Alicia. So that's what I get to do as well. Maybe I'll see you at the next meeting.
Well, I'll tell you what, are you now ready for the hard question?
I'm ready for the hard question.
This is the toughest one, and that is, what is your favorite book? And what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Okay. Oh, wow. So this is the hard question. So what first came to mind. Okay. This one's it dates me a bit, but it's called A Whole New Mind by Daniel Pink. I love that book. I love the book because he really has an innovative mind, and he talks about the global economy and how, again, because so many things are being outsourced, how what's really going to define the haves and the have-nots in business, I'll say that, haves and have-nots in business, are people who create experiences, are people who create high touch, and art, etc. So again, it not being, because guess what? There's definitely, I would say, a couple handfuls of people who help people write books. Paul, you and I both do that. At the end of the day, it's how does our prospect connect with us? And is it going to be through our story? Is it going to be through, common connection? Is it going to be through the experience that we create for someone? And that's going to be someone's decision choice. Is what does that look like? So it's us being humans, because to tell you the truth, you can go on YouTube and find out how to write a book for free. You don't need to hire one of us, but there's a reason why people are making that decision. So I would say a whole new mind. I just read the book Sapiens, which I love because that's a history of mankind. So it's the hard question. There's a lot of good books out there.
Well, and I love your philosophy with this as well. I actually hired a vice president of basically customer relations for me, and the first thing I told her was, this is all about the client, and it's about making a connection. It's not about sales, it's not about scripts, it's making that connection, because once you make that connection, everything else is going to take care of itself. And when they see a company is customer centric and actually cares about your results, then that's really the main thing. It doesn't have to be pitchy, it doesn't have to be a salesy approach. It's just showing that you actually care about them, and that's what closes the deal.
Yes, absolutely. I love it.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
Ooh, my favorite quote is, hesitation killed the warrior. Hesitation killed the warrior. So I don't know if you've heard of Mel Robbins and the 5-second rule, and that's one of my favorite books too. And so when our mind thinks of something, we have inspired thought, we got to take some sort of action within 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And most of us, just kind of our critter brain, I would say, it wants to keep us safe. So if it's a new opportunity or possibility, it's like, no, don't do that. Just stay safe. And so if we want to create something in the world, we get to do it instantly. Once we hesitate, we die, essentially. And if we were in warfare, the soldier that was about to, dive into what have you, or take his sword out, for example, once they hesitate, they die. And so that's my favorite quote. So anytime I'm in hesitation, I always get to think, why am I hesitating? And why am I stopping myself from creating something greater?
Well, Alicia, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Absolutely. Well, social media, I'm at Alicia Dunams. You can go to www.aliciadunams.com. That's ALICIADUNAMS.com. And you can find out about Bestseller in a Weekend, which is my weekend workshop. We do programs in New York, Los Angeles, and online at bestsellerinaweekend.com.
Well, Alicia, I want to thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Paul, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.